right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fourth podcast. Today I am joined by Haas Holding, who is the Dogg Pound Championship Wrestling, the pound for pound champion. Go ahead, Don, introduce yourself.
Hey, what's going on? First of all, thanks for having me. I'm excited about your podcast and I'd like to get my word out there and talk about wrestling, of course. So thank you for having me today.
Oh, anytime, my friend, anytime. So, got just a couple questions I want to ask you because I know 22nd you're going against Ivan Warsaw. How you feel about that match?
You know, I've got a lot of respect for him. Obviously, what he's done in professional wrestling. He's very intense. He believes in what he does. I think by far it's going to be my biggest challenge. You know, can I hold my own in the ring with him? And I'm sure going to try. You know, having this match in Castroville, I think will benefit me quite a bit because, you know, it's kind of like the hometown advantage. But I know that it's going to be a fight. You know, I know how tough he is. I watched his match with Enzo, and I think you were up there during that match. I know y'all were up there with the SWE days and all that, and I don't know if you were at that particular show or not, but I know you were up there a bunch. But that was a brutal match.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, and I've watched that match like 3 times, and I've watched him wrestle our coach Rodney Mack, which is brutal matches. So no doubt about it, his level and my level is not there. I'll be the first to admit it, but you know, I'm going to bring everything I got, and we'll see how it goes.
Now, speaking of the match between Rodney Mack, when he was at the Dogg Pound, he did cheat in his match. Are you prepared for that?
Well, he won't be the first one that's cheated on me, you know. So I mean, it seems like somebody wants to jump me from behind or hit me with a stick or whatever happened. So, and I know that Ivan Warsaw wants to win, and he doesn't care by the rules or not by the rules. And you know, he's a tough individual. I'm not going to let a few little rule breaking. Hey, if that's what it takes, I'll break a few rules too. I will fight any way I can to hold my own, and as any match I go into, I plan on winning one way or the other.
Speaking about candlesticks and the attack from behind, I know the last time that happened was with Nasty Nate. Any words for Nasty Nate on that?
You know, and I understand that was his debut. It was a big night for both of us. He tried to jump, got me with the kendo stick, and I was able to get the win. And then, you know, we had a rematch, and he came with a different psychology towards me, you know, of hitting and moving and it was good. It was working on me, and he hit me with the splash, and you know, I thought it was done, and there was enough left for me to pull out that victory. But I'll say this about Nate. He's growing. His popularity is growing. Number one, he is a very good wrestler, and I think he is starting to learn that he is very good in the ring, and he can do a lot of things. He can come at you, and regardless if I agree or disagree with how he behaves himself at times, Nate's going to be a very good competitor, especially the rest of this year and going into next year. He's really going to have a good name for himself.
Now, a lot of people don't know. I've actually traveled the road with Nate, Soda Pop, and Coach Ronnie at times when we went to Tennessee for VCA out there, and I actually got the privilege to tag with Nate in a cage match with Soda Pop and Simba, who is from VCA. Now, working in that tag match with Nate was a little bit first my experience of tasting nasty Nateness. I do say yes, he is getting better from when he started with training with us in the Dogg Pound, and him listening to he's got great mentors like Jazz and Rodney Mack. Keeps listening to them, and he'll be on his way.
He is, and Nate does listen. I think that all of us as students, and you've been there. I mean, and all the students of Dogg Pound, we know what we have in Rodney and Jazz. I mean, and I think that's what puts the Dogg Pound Dojo above any school around is that you've got two instructors, two owners that actually have been there, ECW, championship belts, WWE, the last WWF Women's Champion and the first Women's WWE Champion. That's big stuff. They know now with the NWA, so so if you listen to what they say, I think that it benefits the entire school. I know, and I'll take an example. I'm not going to throw you shit. I did tell you I'm going to pull it on the line today. I will. So I'll take a few students and I'll make my point. Matt the Hat, Caleb, Nasty Nate, and myself. In a previous life, we were not given a prayer, disrespected. And we came over here to the dojo, given opportunities, develop our character, and you've got guys, you're traveling to Tennessee and wrestle, Matt's taking off, Nate's taking off. Caleb's going to be one of the biggest successes in the state, as a big monster heel, and I'm getting to tell my story. So, I think that's straight to the tribute and to what Jazz and Rodney see in talent and how they develop us and respecting what we can bring, and at the same time guiding and teaching. It's a great thing of both worlds, for us and for them, because they get to build depth with, they're building something positive, and man, I'm blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah, Rodney and Jazz, they are the two owners of Dogg Pound Championship Wrestling. They have just started taking over Castroville, as added it into their pit, is what they like to call it, because they have the wood lawn where they like to go for the Dogg Pound shows. But now that they got Castroville, they got two pits where they like to go and raise all kinds of hell.
They do, and there's more coming. The thing that I can bring to the table as well as, number one, I was a promoter for a long time, and a lot of the towns that I promoted and I can bring a little bit of knowledge to that. By all means, it all goes through Rodney and Jazz with the wrestling company, but I help wherever I can. With Castroville, I know we've got the show in Brady in June. That's going to be a huge show. At the Civic Center. And that's all being put together. And, we're getting ready to announce a few other towns that I have promoted in. And it might piss some people off of where we're going, but, I'm not going to worry about it. What the Dogg Pound is bringing is something that's unique. It's a television style. Most of these promotions you're seeing today, they'll have some matches and they go for 30 minutes. And the fans get tired of seeing it. You can only see so many flips and so many of this and so many of that. Where the Dogg Pound is bringing more matches, shorter time. It's TV type matches, and you tell a story. Old school, hard hitting wrestling, and it's the same way with the Dogg Pound teaming up with TSW Plus app, and all that. I mean, it's really something big going on with Dogg Pound, TSW, and Texas wrestling. The art of telling a story in the wrestling ring is being brought back by people who know how to tell the story, and not people who think they can tell a story because they've never done it full time, but people that can actually tell a story that's made a living doing it and is passing that knowledge on to us. Like I say, we're in the best situation going right now.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree with that, because you can't have a successful business without people who you piss off.
Yeah, well, we're gonna piss some people off, and I'm sorry about that, but that's just the way it's gonna be. We've got a hot hand, and it's time to play it. So, and I'm, like I say, my small role in it, I'm just happy to wrestle here, to perform, and any type of promoting knowledge or anything that I can bring to help, I give it my all for them for sure.
Yeah, so let's talk. I want to talk about whiskey sour, and Beano Blue, the City Boys. So I know you probably know I've been training with Dogg Pounds since for about a year now. Before Beano Blue and Whiskey Sour came along, to see them boys pick up their first victory at the first show in Castroville. How do you feel about that?
Number one, I love them boys. They have really moved the needle for me as far as number one. When I first showed up and I saw how hard they were working and just putting this tag team together, and I guess I've been there about 8 months now. They to watch them mature as a team, and each time, and I know that with Whiskey, we got a big hug, and he was crying. He was really emotional about it, and it made me emotional because I have a special connection with those guys. I just love them. Number one, they're going to be stars. There's nobody out there doing what they're doing right now. What they believe in with a passion. And that passion grabs you, and you support that. And Whiskey and Blue, they mean a great deal to me. I'm their biggest fan. There ain't no, in fact, I'm going to buy me a City Boy shirt. I'm straight up and I'm going to wear the thing. I am so proud of them. Their first win, and I think it's just the start of many. I truly see them going against the Misfits and actually winning the title from Misfits sometime down the line. But they're going to get that shot. Not the Misfits, the OMGs. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, so they're going to be champions regardless of who has that belt. I promise you. So the City Boys, to me, are probably the team to watch for the rest of this year, and especially going into next year. I think they're going to do great things, and I'm so blessed and privileged to have a front row seat to watch them.
Yeah, City Boy. I've actually just watched them grow up.
You've been there longer than I have. Now, was Chase there and then Blue? Were they there when you started, or did they come in after you?
Chase came in, I want to say, like 2-3 months after I did.
Okay, so you watched the whole.
I watched.
Yeah, you watched
process.
the season. Yeah, okay, awesome, man. What a privilege.
And then Pac was there about. I want to say he came in like either a month after I did, and I've seen him growing up a lot too.
And by all means, we'll talk about the City Boys. Misfits are very talented. I've actually had a singles match with Pac, and one of my favorite matches I had. It was a physical match. And but trust me, they're going to do great things as well. It was they got good chemistry together. They're both very athletic. They're both very hard-hitting professional wrestlers, and sky's the limit for them.
Yep, very. Pac brings so much ruthless aggression when he's in the ring. I've refereed their match between the OMGs and so much physicality.
Yeah, they are. And Edgar, he is really a hard striker. I've been hit by him several times, and man, you feel it. And you've been hit by him before, so he's a hard striker. So they've got the good blend. And like I say, the tag team, what the Dogg Pound is doing with the whole tag team division is really exciting. It should be exciting. Tag team wrestling is such an important part of professional wrestling and the history of professional wrestling. And it's really been done away with all these years because independent budgets, basically. You can't afford to bring, or people do not want to invest in themselves to be a tag team partner. It's about me, me, me. So when you have Los Misfits and when you have City Boys and OMG, it's exciting to see because it's phenomenal tag team wrestling. It's not just a couple of guys put together to tag. These guys are really a team. You go back into the days, when tag team wrestling was very popular.
Yep. So speaking of tag teams, just being in the, if you ever basically it's just like if you ever get the chance to like come down to the shows, they got Castroville next week. April 22nd, and then they got the Dogg Pound show. I want to say I think next month. And I'm pretty sure, not sure, but I maybe think the OMGs may be at that one. And if you ever get the chance to meet the OMGs, spend time, hang out with them guys are jokesters, major jokesters.
I'm starting to get to know them. I've met them, at the Woodlawn when we ran there, and first time, and I really got to sit down and visit with them. I visited with them at the TSW studio, which I do want to talk about TSW too, but they are phenomenal. Number one, they're just tremendous athletes. And again, it's going to go back to those guys are a team. They work together. They're just not put together, say, hey, you are tagging for the night. These are a tag team. And right now they're at the top of the heap. They do have the titles. So, so they're good.
Yep, they're not, I don't want to say the next Hardy Boy level, but they're on that level where the Hardy Boys were. They're like brothers, to be example. They're like brothers. They're traveling the roads together. They're always, no matter where they're at, they're together.
They are, and if you talk about a dream, who I would like to see a match of, it would be a main event in anywhere in the country. It would be the OMGs and the Briscoes. I think that would be one for the ages.
Now, when we talk about the Briscoes, are we talking about the fathers or the sons?
We're talking about the sons.
The sons.
Yeah, the Ring of Honor Briscoes, yeah. I was supposed to, yeah, so no, the sons, I'm not that old, come on.
Well, we got to make sure because,
yeah.
Before we get to the TSW, because there's going to be a lot I want to talk about TSW,
Mm-hmm.
we got women's.
And you're talking about Jasmine and Misty. I tell you what. So Misty's my gal. I know some of the crowd don't like her, but you know what? She's in it to win it.
Yep.
And I always tell her, she's my gal and I'm her guy. So, and we did a commercial together for the Walmart meet and greet thing, and we got to spend some time together, and she's a beautiful person. She really is. And Jasmine Allure, obviously she's well on her way, as well. This is going to be a great match, and I think two of the up and coming stars in Texas women wrestling, Jasmine and Misty. So and they're again coming to Castroville, and the fans really appreciate the wrestling out there, and so they're getting two top-notch girls that's on the rise. So they're going to be in for a great match. Man, I don't know who's going to win that thing. It's going to be a great match and worth the price of a $10 ticket.
I'm training with Misty Marks. She's a hard hitter when she can be, and she can bring that ruthless aggression when she wants to be. Whew. There's no joke about it. So Jasmine, she's in it. She's in it for a match. She's in for a match with Misty Marks.
Yeah, she is. And Jasmine, you might get taken back because she's smaller. She's smaller in stature a little bit, and but she's tougher than nails, man. I've been in a ring with her, and she's tough. She holds her own. So it's gonna be a hard hitting match. I think people are really going to be surprised that they're really going to get with it.
Yeah.
Because they both want to win. The victories are important for them right now because they're trying to get that next level. They're trying to get that notice, So they're really gonna hammer for it hard. It's gonna be a great match.
Now, before I had mentioned about Jasmine, she is one of the ladies from Dogg Pound that has been featured on AEW Dark, alongside with another girl who trains at our facility, Maddie Rankowski. Both of them ladies have been they've actually appeared more than once on AEW Dark, but Misty Marks and the match between Misty Marks and Jasmine Allure, it's gonna be a hard hitting match.
It is, and I know the AEW connection, but I do believe you're going to see Misty wrestling one of these nights. Either be a Monday night or a Tuesday. Number one, she's got Jazz in her corner, so somewhere Misty's going to get that next step. Because she's listening to Jazz. Jazz is really doing a phenomenal job with the women's folk in our company. So it's but Misty's going to be wrestling somewhere in the night. on a big brand coming soon.
Yep. And Misty Marks, whenever you get up to the top, just know we rooted for you. We always rooting for you.
Yeah, she'll still be my gal.
Dawn says you'll always be his number one.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the TSW that was, I want to say last week actually, when they had WrestleCon. How'd you like WrestleCon?
I've never been to one before. So number one, it was great. It was neat to see. I really enjoyed watching the true fans of professional wrestling. I mean, they're sitting there with the replica belts, and some of them were dressed up as some of the wrestlers they like. And they were really, you can see them really enjoying the moment of being right there with the wrestlers. I got to catch up with a lot of friends. The Honky Tonk Man is a real good friend of mine, and I haven't seen him in years. Last time he saw me, I was 35 pounds and just a promoter. And so I think he got culture shocked on me a little bit, but we got to catch up for about 45 minutes. And that was probably my highlight, is because I care about him a lot. And got to see a good friend of mine, Roy Fox, and I know a lot of folks don't know who Roy Fox is down here now, but he was really and he's wrestling up in the Iowa area now, and he's a phenomenal wrestler. And he was, anybody that goes back to MTV when they did a little thing, he was the paper boy on there. So Google that and you'll see where he started at. But he was actually our open division champion for a while, and was really a good friend. So I got to catch up with a lot of people at WrestleCon. It was an honor to be a part of the booth and to be assigned a time and to experience that, so that was an honor. And then, to share it with Jazz, I mean, come on, man. I mean, wow, that was a complete honor for me. The TSW, man, the production of what they do there was amazing. I mean, I have never been involved in production like that before. And to highlight the wrestling, it was tremendous. The hangar is an awesome place that they're building there for wrestling, and they've got something going. So, number one, it's open, plenty of room, it's comfortable temperature, and the stage is phenomenal, the lighting, the big screen in the back, I mean, that was kind of neat. I walked out, and I mean, I had my name in these mountains. I'm going, whoa, that's pretty cool, and I was right here to wrestle, I had to get my mind back on wrestling, so, because I kind of had that moment there, but no, it's TSW, and that night I wrestled the Manimal out of Bedford, and I've known him for a long time. He actually would work for my promotion back in the day, too, so so we've got a long history, and it was a very tough match, and he's a very snug worker, which I like. I like that. I like being snug. I like doing all that. So it's thank you. So it's it was a lot of fun. So he really worked a hold on me. It was an old school match. Basically before Nelson, and I'd get out of it and fall, and he'd get it on me again, and I hit him with the claw. We did a few bumps, and then, I was able to pin him and go home and defend the title. So it was a fun match. And again, the whole setup with the shorter matches and things like that for TV and stuff. And TSW Plus, I think, is really going to take off, with the app, and as they continue to build it, and it's easy. It's, touch on your phone, you can watch wrestling, and they've got something going. I'm very, very, very blessed to be a part of that as well.
Now, many of y'all who don't know, Rodney Mack, our coach, how do you feel about having a coach who still wrestles?
Number one, I love it. Number two, because it keeps him on his game. And as I'm, building my relationship with Rodney, number one, he's very intense. He is probably one of the most intense guys. He's a competitor, and that starts from his days of football. All football players were competitors. And I think as we go through life, you never stop competing. And that's what Rodney wants to be the best. And that's what he demands out of it. And that's why he gets frustrated with us sometimes, because he knows we can do more. And so with him competing, now with NWA, obviously we're fans of Rodney Mack too, you know, and I get so tired of people saying, look, you know, you can't be a fan and be in the business, and that's BS. You can. I will always be a fan of professional wrestling, and I don't care what people say about it. And I'm a fan of Rodney Mack and Jazz, of course. But yeah, watching Rodney now, I mean, he's got this whole new rebirth, basically, of where he's at. Number one, he's in phenomenal shape, you know, and number two, he's a master in the wrestling ring. Number three, he's tougher than hell, you know, and so, I mean, he's got all the ingredients that I see him having a big title run somewhere in a major company. And our school is set, and I know that we'll still have that instruction. It still has a push that we can push ourselves to be better. So I think that it trickulates down to all of us in the school. You know, that for his success, you know, it should make us all hunger for it more. And I think when we get a little, I'm not going to say lazy. I think when we get a little lackadaisical, we think that we had a good match and we made it. I think it pisses him off a little bit because he knows we can do more. Because he's out there showing what can be done, you know, at the top of the heap, and he's climbing back up it again. And I'm excited for him, and I want nothing but the best for him. I'm a Rodney Mack fan, and I always will be.
No, Rodney's always said there's no such thing as a good match, because you can't have a good match, because if you have a good match, you want to get lazy. You can't be like that. You always want to strive to have the better match than your last match. And after traveling on the road with him and actually listening to him and everything he says, that's how basically I've learned from him, is by listening to him on the road, because he tells a lot more stories. Because when you're on the road with him, you got that long period of time till you get to your destination, and he's just talking about everything he's been through, and you learn so much about how he came into the business, what he had to do to get in the business, because he's even told us that he's had to build a ring by himself, going up flights and stairs by himself. And I'm just like, wow, I could not imagine, because those rings are heavy.
They're heavy.
They're heavy.
Oh yeah, and then when we've got 15 of us down there put a ring together and it's 45 minutes not up yet, he loses his mind, you know, because he goes, God dang, you know, are you still myself? And at SCW, I would, when I had my own building in Lytle, I mean, that's what I would do. Every Saturday show morning, I'd be up at 7, and I would literally put the ring together myself. Now, I wasn't carrying up a flight of steps. I mean, I had it right there, but I put the ring together myself, because that's the way that I got ready for the show. And then I would, I would get everything ready and get my head right for that night. So, you know, but it was something I enjoyed doing, you know, by myself. But yeah, and I haven't had that privilege of being on the road with Rodney yet, other than, you know, TSW and staying at the B&B. And I know we sat out in the hot tub till about 2 a.m. just talking, and I was a sponge, man. I mean, how can you not be? Because he knows so much. He's probably forgotten more than most people know about wrestling. And, you know, and that was always kind of a back to the school knock thing, that, well, they only got one ring, you know, and yada, yada, yada. But you can learn so much by keeping your damn mouth shut and your ears open. And while working, like I say, I've learned more this last 8 months than I have anywhere in this business. And that goes back to SCW, when I always surrounded myself with good people, you know, guys like Jacob Ladder, Claxton, Spiro, Dusty Wolf. You know, the list goes on. I've had, you know, D'Lo Brown, Honky Tonk Man. A lot of guys that I would just, you know, Lance Cade. Guys that made it in this business and had success, and I'd listen to them, you know, and that was knowledge, you know, that I got. And it really seasoned me up a lot, you know, being around it for 5 years, just because I did not compete in the ring. Now, it's different promoting than competing in the ring, I assure you, but it's still, I learned a lot. And, you know, from the psychology and what it takes and the grit and the grind to make it in this business, from people who actually made it in this business, and people that that habit that's you're going to tell somebody how to. So it just drives me crazy. But I love listening to Rodney talk. Like last night, at training, I mean, I worked on something new for Castroville that I'm going to unleash, hopefully, if I get the opportunity. And but mostly I just listen, and I watch and I listen. And I walk away usually from more of that than me, rolling in a ring for 3 hours.
Yeah. Like you said, when he gets frustrated at everybody because everybody is just, we can bring more to the table than what we know, and he sees that in everybody that's at the school. That's why he gets so frustrated. He gets to the point where he starts going off because it's just like he's repeating the same thing every single week.
It's very understandable. Like I say, he wants the best for us. He wants the best for the school. He wants the best for his family, of course. And when he sees the potential in somebody, and he sees them not, because he knows what he had to do to reach the pinnacle of it all. And he knows the sacrifices that's got to be made, right? And when he sees somebody that's not putting that sacrifice in, or flagging, I mean, that's how he reacts. It gets mad. He's a coach. Mm-hmm. He is a coach. Football coach, wrestling coaches, whatever. When they don't see effort, they get pissed. And that's just what happens. And either get your feeling hurts or you tune in and you try harder. And for the most part, everybody puts big boy pants on and we go back to work.
Yep, because he's also said the way he talks to us and how he yells at everybody, it's just to get you ready on how these promotions are going to talk to you.
Of course.
So let's see. How do you feel about being the pound for pound champion?
Wow, it's of all the things that I've done, and I can go back and feel like what I did at wrestling as a promoter. This pound for pound title, what it means, and there's meaning because all the accolades that we gave to Jazz and to Rodney is what this title is about because it represents them. To me, in the state of Texas right now, there's not a bigger title because Rodney and Jazz are wrestling royalty. And for them to entrust me with this title, I will never be able to be thankful and repay enough for what it means to me. It's a beyond an honor. Number one, it comes with a lot of prestige. Everybody's watching Dogg Pound Championship, not just here locally, not just here in the state, but nationally, because Rodney and Jazz are national people in this business. And when they say, okay, who's got their pie, they look at the Dogg Pound. They say this 60-year-old outlaw with his beard and hair growing everywhere, that's just there's not enough good words in my vocabulary that I can say that what it means to me to hold this title, because I know it represents them, and for them to entrust me in it is one of the biggest honors I've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, being on the road with them, I've listened to the many titles that they want to bring to the show. The women's title, which I know they're in the process of bringing to the show. They already have the tag teams who's held by the OMGs. So I just I hope to see what other titles they bring to the shows.
Well, they're going to be a heavy title coming up, and the women's title. And the women's title is going to be exciting. Look at all the talented ladies that are, you mentioned Maddie, who I love. She's awesome, and she's a star, and she's going to continue being a star, and Misty and Jasmine and and the other. I mean, it's just it's growing, and the girls that come to the shows and stuff like that, and then the TSW gals that'll be coming down. So it's the women's division of Dogg Pound with TSW is going to be amazing, especially that it's oversaw by Jazz. So that's going to be tough. The pound for pound title. I defend it. Wherever I'm defending it in Castroville, as far as I know, that's a title match. I know I defend it on May 14th at TSW at Addison at the Hangar against the Midnight Special that was announced last night. So I'm sure he's going to be chirping like a little bird here for the next, he'll come, he's a little troll. He's under the bridge and he comes out and goes, and so I'm going to have to hear this for the next, 14th. But that's his gimmick, and that's what he comes at you with because he gets into your head, so I can't let him get there.
It's also just not the midnight special. He also has Eric Bronson with him too.
Yeah, the Midnight Blazer. So number one, they've got the tag, and he's a single. So and Eric's, and we didn't even mention about the tag team. They're a phenomenal tag team. They're good. So they're Eric and Midnight are phenomenal. Very experienced tag team, and they're going to be in play for the tag team titles. There ain't no doubt about it. But yeah, it was announced, so it's a one-on-one with me and the troll, Smurfette, or whatever. We got to think of something. So because I just know I'm already hearing it in my head, and probably what he wants. So May 14th. Yes, that match has been announced last night. So we'll see how that goes. I plan on having the title. Obviously, I don't know if it's not mentioned as a title match in Castroville. I hope it is. I like defending the title, but we'll see how it all goes, but to go back, yes, it's beyond an honor to be and it's a 2-time champion, like I say, I lost it and won it back. So, and that was a great series I had with Mike Dell, who's one of the best wrestlers in the state of Texas.
I've wrestled a couple Mike Dell matches, and I can tell you, most of the matches I've reffed, they always have me laughing. I can never hold it back.
Again, Mike is somebody that I've known. Mike was probably one of the first people I've met in wrestling, probably 2006, before I even opened FCW. And back then he was the athlete, and he carried the football and had this cut-off football T-shirt, and he was young and brash, so but he's, to me, number one, it was an honor for that whole series with Mike Dell. I learned a lot from it, and I think he enjoyed it. It kind of had us come full circle. I know it had a lot of meaning, and we talked about it. It had a lot of meaning to him. It really had a lot of meaning to me of what it meant to be able to compete with Mike Dell, and I think we had 3 great matches. Any match can always be better, and I'm not going to say I'm satisfied with them. I learned, I got everything accomplished. I wound up with my title, and I became a better wrestler because of it, and I'll be thankful for that.
Speaking about the Midnight Blazers, before they were called Midnight Blazers, they had their first tag match at Galactic Pro Wrestling, where I debuted a tag team match between me and the Cobra. And being in the ring with those two guys, it's a fun experience to be in the ring with them. But they do bring heavy hitting. They do bring the heavy hitters.
Oh, they do. I like I say, I have never wrestled either one of them. I've trained with them, but really never been in the ring. But I've watched their matches, and they bring it, and they bring a psychology to win. They bring something. They bring a lot, and they've got a lot of experience between them. People don't realize they've been wrestling for a while, 10, 11 years, however long it's been, and they have a lot of experience. And a lot of young teams, they're going against, they're going to use that experience in their favor.
Yep. Most people don't know, the Midnight Special, he's been on SWE a few times too, where he's also played a part as being the fake Boogeyman. I made jokes about that all the time. It's like, Boogeyman's coming, so you better be careful.
I know Teddy Long loves the Midnight Special, and I know that. I don't know. I guess maybe they're both good with the gab. I don't know. But Teddy Long loves him. So Teddy Long made this match with me and him. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. How was your experience? The first experience with Boogeyman when he was at the Dogg Pounds show.
Just to visit with him and hearing the stories, listening to him, how he approaches the business, from number one, from a business side, and number two, his professionalism, his eagerness to share with kids and all of us, about the business, and to pass on knowledge. It was appreciative. I really enjoyed it, you know, and he was very sincere. I got to visit with him again at WrestleCon, and you know, he remembered, you know, uh, he he dug my story, you know, about starting at 57 and being 60 now and doing what I'm doing, and you know, he really dug it, and I think he had a, you know, he told me he respected it and what I'm doing and respecting the business, and so that meant a lot to me. You know, obviously he's made it. He's done well in the business and continue to do well, and rightfully so. He's he's definitely got a great gimmick. You'll remember who he was if you go to the arena.
Yeah.
You know, and that's so important.
Now, what was your first experience when you heard his music hit and he came out with the worms?
Well, you know, that's when I just got finished up with Nate, and I was enjoying my music. Therefore, I was really having my victory, and had Nate laid there, and I was thinking there, you know, do I need to get him up? Do I need to help him? You know, 'cause I really laid the claw into him pretty hard on that one. I got to admit, I just quite didn't let go when the bell rang. It was a little bit of payback from our earlier match, and then all of a sudden, the music stopped and his started playing, and I was looking around, going, "What the heck's going on?" You know. And then I looked down there, and sure enough, here he comes crawling. You know, worms hanging, you know, the whole thing. And I said, you know, I've seen this show before. I'm gonna go with CJ. We out the door, you know. So you know,
Professor.
Off we went. I found a way, and I said, "Nah, Nate, you're on your own, buddy."
Yep.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
You and Professor P took off running.
Yeah,
I think that's the first time I ever seen Professor P took off running.
I don't know how and I always give the professor a hard time about his shoes, you know, because he's always got those slick looking shoes on and things like that. So, and I won't follow him anywhere, but that night I gotta admit, I was right behind him.
As many as most people who been in the ring with Boogeyman know, you get out his way.
I'm a fisherman. No way in heck I'm gonna eat the worms. Now I'll eat the fish, but I ain't gonna eat the worms.
You can be so surprised how many fans want Boogeyman to put those worms in their mouth.
Ain't no way, cause a side note on that, I picked up the worms that day. I was the worm getter, and I saw them. And I know every one of those suckers were alive and real.
Yep.
And so, you know, I said, no, man.
I had to wash those worms.
Oh, were you the worm washer? I was the security. You were the washer,
I was the washer. Let's talk about the match between Ricky Reyes and Alex Arsenal. I know Ricky Reyes has had a couple matches with Xavier Gotti in the past, which Ricky Reyes has picked up 2 of those wins, and Xavier picked up 1.
You know, and this is at the Shot and Bow, you know, on April 22nd. Number one, Alex is a crowd favorite out there. You know, Alex has a good history with the fans out here. He was the Galactic champion out there when Galactic was running there, and so they built that bond with him there. A lot of great matches he's had, but I think this match with and I talked to Alex last night about it, and number one, he's psyched for it. You know, in fact, there was a story. So when Ricky first came in, Alex was just starting into the business, and he was told to go to the Dallas airport and pick him up. So, man, yes, sir. Well, Alex, he took off, went to DFW, picked him up, and drove him back to San Antonio. No sleep, no nothing, just to get him there. So, and they talked about that, and Ricky remembered that. So this match is going to, if you ever, and I know some people like put stars on matches and things like that. If you want to have a potential of having a 5-star match, if you want to see a real good professional wrestling match, this will probably be the best match going that night. And put everything aside, these two, Alex is an up-and-coming star. There's no doubt about it. Ricky, nationally known professional wrestler. And I really hope people in Castroville really understand what we have when we have Ricky coming out there. In fact, San Antonio right now, he's working for a lot of different promotions, and they need to get out and enjoy him. If they see him on any flyer, they need to get out and appreciate the man's talent. You know, he's been there and done that. Alex is a rising star in this business. I think the sky's the limit, and Alex is a real good friend of mine. I'm continuing to build a great friendship with him, and I'm a fan of Alex Arsenal. There ain't no doubt about it, and Ricky, of course. This is going to be a great match. I mean, there's no doubt. Like I say, if you could put a star on a match, then you're probably talking about this would be closer to a 5-star match if you can put it on there. It's going to be that good.
Yeah, I've ref the match between Ricky Reyes and Rodney Mack down in Laredo, and just to be there in that same ring with just those two, it's a phenomenal and one of the most experiences I will never forget, alongside with Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
Now, when we were talking about hard hitting, I actually got popped in the face by Jerry Lawler. So.
Well, how did that feel? How did it feel? Folks talk about me being a wrestler at 60. Now, what about getting hit by somebody at 70?
Well, let's just say Jerry Lawler is still one of the hard-hitting punches in the business. I would say like if Pac and Edgar, they're like right under Lawler, but wow. Lawler will pop that punch on you so quick, you'll be on the floor before you notice what happened.
It's phenomenal how Jerry Lawler is still thriving in this business, and it is. You talk about age and it's brought up with me at 60, and but him and 71, 72, however he's up there now, and he still does it in the ring. I watched him and Rodney's match, and it was a great match, and he might be wrestling until he's 80. He very well could be.
Yeah, he's in his 70s and he still looks like he's in his early 50s.
Mm-hmm. I look forward to meeting him one day. I know that's one of the road trips I want to make, and because man, there's another guy I just want to listen to. He's there's so many guys in this business that that really know what they're doing, and I don't think we take advantage of it. Guys like, we just lost, Ken Johnson, great mind in wrestling. Dusty Wolf, great mind in wrestling. These guys that lived it, Jerry the King Lawler, these guys that we need to listen to, because nobody's here forever, and I'll go back to probably who I think was one of the greatest minds ever in wrestling was guy Gary Hart. Maybe you know who Playboy Gary Hart was, maybe you don't, but he was really the book. He's really put the whole Von Erich Freebird feud together. That was his part of his deal. But if you ever Google Gary Hart and listen to him talk about the business in the 80s, his mind is phenomenal. And I'm just a firm believer, like when you go to seminars and you hear some of these older wrestlers that are still like Ricky Morton, and if you get the opportunity to go listen, you need to listen to them, because they can share so much just by talking with you, and you'll learn so much, and if you just listen. So, and Jerry the King, that's what got me on that, just talking about Jerry the King Lawler. I hope I get the chance to be in the same locker room with him, because I just want to listen, I just want to listen, and I don't care what I'm doing. I want to hear what he's got to say, because, I want to get better. So, and by listening to guys like that, it'll make us better.
So, me, to be honest, I think because I will listen to anyone, but the main person who I want to sit down and actually listen to is The Undertaker. He's the main reason why I got started in wrestling from first time when I was in 5th grade, flipping through the TV, saw professional wrestling. I saw The Undertaker. Just his theme music playing. I was like, this is what I want to do now.
Yeah. He's definitely phenomenal. And, my son, they had the NASCAR here recently in Austin. And my son works with one of the drivers there, helps him get sponsors with his company and all this stuff. And he's really involved in it. And The Undertaker was there. And he got to sit down and visit with The Undertaker. And my son was actually a wrestler. He trained at a training school back then, and wrestled in the back, just too many bumps. So and he was very good. He was a very good wrestler, and but he went to college and got him a job, so he got smart and he's making a good living. But to what he's doing, but to have that, and he says, we didn't really talk about wrestling. We talked about NASCAR. Which it was cool. So I'm thinking, dang man, if I'd have been there, I'd had a few questions about wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, I'd had to pop something in there. You know, not so much just not so much addressed to him about what he, other than you want to show respect for what the man has done for the business, but at the same time is, you know, we're more of how he sees the business going today, and how can we as competitors now improve professional wrestling, you know, something like that, because I'm sure he would have a take on it.
Yeah, I don't know if you got to listen to his Hall of Fame speech, but he actually dove into his actual life. He actually brought fans into his life, because you know he's kept his life so private throughout his wrestling career. He was only known as the Undertaker. He was never Mark Calloway. He was always the Undertaker. So to actually listen to him talk about Mark Calloway and how Mark Calloway was, it got me. It had my ears open.
Yeah, I could imagine, and I haven't heard it yet, and I need to listen to it, because, like I say, obviously the Undertaker's way up at the wrestling chain, and always will be. I mean, he has left definitely an imprint on wrestling that will go on for generations.
Yeah, I mean, he's up there along with Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was actually a big surprise, and I'm actually surprised he actually came back and wrestled.
Yeah. You know, I do believe, and I'm kind of seeing this now, so when, as a wrestler or as a performer, and to walk out there, you know, I never knew, even when I was a promoter all those years, I never knew what it was like to walk out the curtain. Number one, to be behind that curtain a minute before your match started, and you're sitting there, and you've got all this emotion going on. And then when you walk out that curtain and you embrace with those fans, and being, if you're getting booed, being cheered, or whatever it is, that moment when you walk out and that crowd, as your character and who you are in the wrestling ring, that moment I think is hard to let go, because I think that you see guys that keep coming back, or guys don't want. Some guys can move on from it and say, you know, hey, you know, it was fun, yada yada. But there's some guys that can't let go, and Steve Austin has let go for a long time of it. But you know, for whatever reason, you know, to help the company, I'm sure he, you know, the company did a lot for Steve Austin over the years, and so, you know, maybe that's a way of giving. I'm sure he didn't do it for free.
Yeah.
So you know,
Yeah.
so you know, it's he made a business decision, and obviously to get the pop he gets. I mean, now you think about our little thing. We walk out there and, you know, a few hundred cheering for us or whatever, or booing us, but when you got tens of thousands of people walk out and they play your music, and you come out and slamming the beers and all that stuff, and you know, and everybody's on their feet screaming to the top of their lungs, that's got to be, you got to enjoy that, right? Yeah. And I'm sure he does. So, you know, I mean, I've never met him, or I've never asked him, but chances are he does. And, you know, it was a good moment for him.
I remember it was me, Coach, and Caleb. We went to meet with you at the football game that was going on over there. And we actually ran into Goldberg.
Yeah, well, his son plays for Bernie.
Yeah, and it was like, I was like, wow, I actually got to meet Goldberg. one of the guys who was the highlight of Raw in the early 2000s, before WCW went out of business. And I'm just like, I'm actually getting to meet the person who actually speared a lot of people in WWE.
He has done that. You know, and all these guys, you know, they're pioneers of this business, obviously, and boy, they've earned every accolade they can get. Number one, they put their bodies on the line. They've done so much for wrestling, and what makes exciting, I think a lot of what they've done is bringing back what we're starting to enjoy now. If you look around the state of Texas, for instance, and the independent promotions running, the crowds are getting up again, and you know. I know when I started promoting in 2007, independent wrestling was dead. I mean, you had ours, you know, there was just a few companies running. There was a lot of smaller companies running, to put that back, but it was garbage. Not because the wrestling was garbage, because the production was garbage. I mean, you saw potato sacks, you saw trash bags, you saw crap. There was no professional shows starting late. There was nothing professional. Basically, it was a ring and wrestling. People thought that was enough. That's what got me started into running SCW, and it drove me crazy because I got away from wrestling for a long time. When I realized that I was not going to be able to do it in 1988, I chose my family. I pulled away from it. I didn't watch it, and it's because I love it so much. And so when I saw what it's become, it affected me badly because I think it wasn't. Well, let me give you an example. So you go to a WWE show, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, whatever it is. They got production. You see the fireworks. You see it all going. You go to a house show on a Wednesday night, crowd's only about a quarter full. It's about a quarter because the wrestling, you still got the same roster. These guys they probably wrestle better on a Wednesday night than they do on a Monday with the production, but you've got the show. And even on a small, there was one company that was doing it, and that was XCW in Denton, which I admire Knight a great deal. I always looked up to him. And, much respect for the guy because he got it, and I wanted to be an independent promoter like him. And so, I invested a lot of money in my equipment, my lights, my cameras, and a lot of people laughed at me about it. But I would go to towns that were burnt and I'd rebuild them. And then I would go to towns that were hungry for wrestling and we'd draw 600. And our show started at 7:30, on time. We had a whole entrance thing as the lasers and the music and everything. We put on the best possible professional production show, and that enhanced the guys to encourage them to go out there and do it. It made them look like stars. So it made our shows better. So after about 3 or 4 years, other companies started popping up with production, and I felt like we had a lot to do with that. But to me, the production of your show is so important. It's so important. And it's like you were talking about the Goldberg. If they did not have that production, they're great wrestlers and people go see them, but would they be, would it be the same? And the answer is no, is because proof's in the pudding on a house show on Wednesday night, they're going to draw a quarter of what they draw on their Mondays and Fridays. And it's, to me, now with the companies out there, they're putting their production out there. You see more, like TSW, Dogg Pound, King of Sports, a few others out there that are really putting their production out there. They are, you're seeing crowds come back because the guys are building stars. Everybody's talking about, you can't be a star, you're on the internet, yada. Look, you can't, the fans are not stupid. People are not stupid, They appreciate a good wrestling show. They want to be entertained. That's all they want to be, Tell your story in the ring. Good guy, bad guy. That's what they want to say. They want to boo you. They want to cheer for you. But don't insult their intelligence because everybody knows now. So get out there. And guess what? More and more people are going to come, and and it's going to create more opportunities for wrestlers coming up. That I believe that in the next 10 years, I think wrestling is going to continue to grow. People love it, and as long as we keep it as affordable as we can for the families. And you get more and more business and sponsorships, it's going to create a lot more opportunities for a lot of guys.
Yeah, I think keeping it basic storyline. Also, I think what we should start doing is more of like storytelling, building up to our matches. Because if the fans get to see, especially the ones on TSW, especially how TSW is trying to put their app on, they're trying to boost their app. And if we can get to where we can start putting storylines on that app to where they're like, okay, now I see why Alex is going against Ricky Reyes, or now I see why Nate's going against Stewie.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. Well, since we've been children, we always love a bedtime story, right? Yeah. We'd always want a story, At school, when you go to your school, the teacher reads you a story. Life's about a story, your life, just not in wrestling, but in anywhere, your life is a story. It's being told. People love a story. People love a good story, and so wrestling done correctly is one of the best products to tell a story anywhere in, and follow the guys. You know, you can follow guys now more than ever, you know, and learn about the story and learning the daily struggles and all that stuff. So, man, it's out there, and fans are enjoying it, and they become a small part of it again, you know. So, is it the old days behind the curtain to where, you know, you didn't believe, you didn't believe, or whatever, you know, and it's a whole new era of wrestling now, and through the transaction, people stopped coming because I think they were insulted. But now they're coming back. And us, me and you, Dogg Pound and others, you know, as stewards of this business, we got to keep them coming back. And we've got to always make sure that we work hard to keep them coming back. For those of us who love professional wrestling, you know, it's just, it's our duty to do it, as well as it's the duty of the Stone Colds and the Undertakers and the Goldbergs to make sure that they also, you know, put a bigger positive umbrella of wrestling, more than we can ever do. But if we all do that, then, man, we're going to have this around for a long time to enjoy. Wrestling's going to be here. It ain't going nowhere. It's been here for a long time. Yeah,
I've said it in previous podcasts is that people don't understand what all goes into becoming a wrestler. It's if it was easy, everybody would do it. And trust me, it's not easy because it takes a toll on your body, your mindset. And I even said it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to take a break here to get your mind right, your body right, because you want to be that. You want to be that wrestler who's always ready to go. You don't want to be, okay, I don't know, I don't want to do this. You want to, because if you have love for the business, and I say, you know, take your breaks, because wrestling's not going nowhere. It's still gonna be here tomorrow. Just take your breaks. If you're not self, your mind's not right, your body's not right, only person it's gonna hurt is you and your family.
It is, and you know, and I know with me, you know, and to go back, so in 1988, I sat down at a table. It was Chris Adams there. It was one of the first training schools out there, and up there that was really big in the Metroplex wrestling at the time, and you know, I sat at the table. I couldn't afford it. It was $1,500, and I walked away from it. You know, time is kind of a different for me as now. You know, I started late, 57. You know, now I'm 60. I'm 61's coming quick. So, you know, I do see what you're saying, and I think it's about, you know, this being, and I've done a lot of things in my life. You know, I mean, I've had a great career in the environmental industry. You know, I've cleaned up some of the biggest catastrophes known to man, you know, that's happened out there in the environmental world. Hard, very hard what I've done over the years. I've done a lot of hard things. But of all that, I don't think there's anything harder than I've ever done is to become a professional wrestler inside the ropes. Because as good as, I feel like I was a good promoter, and for my passion of the business to make it better, and I worked my ass off doing it. I still did not, and I thought I knew, and I did learn a lot. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say I didn't, I did. But to come inside the ropes now and to perform, that's a whole different animal. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm just scratching the surface of it. I know what I can and can't do. I know what my strengths are and what my weaknesses are, which I've got very few strengths and a lot of weaknesses. You know, that's just a part of who I am. So, but it doesn't mean that I can't have a good match and I can't go out there and entertain the crowd. But this is by far the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Because you've got to, you know, if you got a match, and I heard, you know, guys talking, you know, they can read the fans out. I can't read them yet, you know. It's because I'm so in tune to what I'm doing in the ring. I still got that bad habit of putting up that wall. And that's one of the big no-nos in wrestling. Because if you've got a match going on and you got your crowd falling asleep, you better change what you're doing. And that's part of the, you know, well, that's a part of not being in tune to your crowd, so to speak. So, you know, that's one thing that I'm really trying. And the way you do that is you get out there and you wrestle, you know, and you wrestle good guys like, you know, the Mike Dells and the Pox and, you know, some of the other guys that I've wrestled, and I'm learning. And I'm starting to pick it up a little bit now, you know. I'm starting because I'm getting a little more comfortable. But it's, but like you said, it's, people don't know how hard it really is. You know, people think, oh, you just go out there and do it. there's a lot that goes into it,
Yeah.
and there's a lot that's and you're right because you know it also affects you. It affects your psychology too because you want to do. It takes you on an emotional roller coaster ride at times. You know, the business is up, you're up, and then you're down. You're up and you're down. You know, and you read about it, a lot of the guys that one of the guys that posted on Facebook today talking about emotional status and how promoters will treat them and things like that, and it's tough. You get breakdowns at time in this business, and you see some of the kids doing it, and I try to. As an older guy, I try to be a little bit more stable about it. But man, there's sometimes I get down too, man. Like, oh shoot, man, how come I didn't do this, or why didn't I do that? Or can I do this, or can I do that, or what the hell am I doing, man? Things. So it's an emotional thing at times for me too. But it does. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, cause I'll be coming back in like after June, cause I had to take me a mental break, cause.
And you're very talented, and I think you got a lot going for you too. So,
yeah, cause
but you know you, and that's
yeah,
when you felt you know you, and so you're going to take care of your health, and I admire that. I admire anybody who does that.
Yeah, cause I spoke about it. I think it was either my first or second podcast. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the business. I love who my trainers are. I don't want to like let them down or anything. It's just. Sometimes you have to take that break. But
I don't think you taking a break is going to let. I don't think anybody that needs to take a break is not going to let anybody down because I think they care. If you got the right trainers, as we do, they're going to care about your overall being.
Yep.
And I know Rodney and Jazz love you to death. So but you're doing what you need, but you're still involved. I mean, you're still promoting wrestling to a podcast. You're starting this venture now. So and these are the things we need. To continue to help, any form of media out there that we can get the word out to professional wrestling, man, by all means, it's good.
Yeah, because like I said, Rodney and Jazz, they're the one of the most nicest people who would open their home up to you, to anybody who comes down to the school. If you're from a different state, they'll open their home up to you because, they want you to succeed in this business.
They do. They are the most caring people that you see behind the scenes. They're the most caring people that are. I've been around a very long time for sure.
All right, we got one more match to talk about for Castroville.
Man, we just jamming, aren't we, man?
Yeah, we're just jamming.
we might go 2 hours. Today.
We got Kamante versus Nasty Nate. I know you haven't been in the ring with Kamante. I've actually been down to Lions Pride where he's from. I've revved a couple of their matches that I've seen he's been in. He's a real talented, and when he was at Dogg Pounds, he was with John, who was his manager. But I know you got a history with Nasty Nate, and I hope that the rivalry between y'all isn't over yet, because I think y'all can go a couple more rounds, because that moonsault that Nate did from the top rope, I talked about. I was like, some guys can do it, and Nate is in that thin line between he can do it and he shouldn't do it.
Yeah, well, he did it. I felt it. I know, but Kamante Kamante, I met him at the last Castroville show. Number one, what an athletic guy, phenomenal wrestler. Good training, obviously. This is going to be a great match to watch, obviously, and I can tell you, me and Nate are not through yet. I think I'm always going to be, until Nate figures out how to beat me, which he's going to do a lot of figuring, it'll never be over for him. I think probably one of his goals is probably to beat me, and that would be my goal, so, but this is, I think, and Nate's had a lot of matches. I think this is Nate stepping up in talent quite a bit. This is going to be I'm excited to see this match, because I think Nate is really going to be challenged by Kamante. Now, I'm not saying Nate can't win it. He can, so we're going to see how it goes, but he's, Nate will have a few, it's going to be, can Nate trick him into something versus can Kamante just get him with athletic ability? So, it's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be a fun match to watch. I'm looking forward to this match, and you know, I don't know if I'm pulling for Nate or not. It's hard for me to cheer for him, but you know, I tell you what, I hope Nate has some success in this match, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I know. Previous before, Nate's always had a Kindle stick with him when he walked down to the ring, so he used to use that as an advantage. But now he can't have that. No. He doesn't have that advantage anymore.
Yeah. Coach took it. Yeah, Coach took a stick from him.
I know back when we were me, Nate, and Soda Pop, Superfly Hendrix, who one day I hopefully will have on the show, and you guys get to hear from him. We were all on the road going down to VCA, and Mr. Nate wanted to be part of a hardcore match where he wanted to bring in thumbtacks. I looked at him, I'm like, Nate, no. I was like, no. I get you want to be a hardcore wrestler, but you want to have thumbtacks. You got to think about it though, because one, it's still in the COVID pandemic. Mm-hmm. And you gonna have blood, and you got thumbtacks. You got to think about it now. I mean, it's all good if you want to do the hardcore match, but just know you're gonna be going up against one of VCA's hardcore champions who's a heavy hitter, and because I know their hardcore champion is now Simba. Before it was one of Nate's buddies. I can't remember his name. Excuse me. But before it was Coach Rodney went against him, and I believe that it was either Coach or the other opponent who went through a complete door. So,
and I'll say this about Nate before I move on. Nate, people don't think this of Nate. He really is a very tough guy. Nate knows how to fight outside the ring, and he can bring a lot of that. That to the ring. So, and I will say about him, he is one tough guy. But the hardcore thing, see, I'm not a big fan of hardcore wrestling. I like it to build up to something. So, I've been toting my bull rope around for 8 months. I've only used it once, and that was for a brass knucks title that we built up to in IHWA, which I am also the brass knucks title champ, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, for IHWA, and Dave Fuller gave me a great opportunity up here in Fort Worth in my hometown. I had a bunch of family and friends there, so it was a good night. And man, I'll always be thankful for that to Dave and to IHWA. And I'm looking forward to defending that title sometime in June, I believe. So, but I like building up to gimmick matches pretty much, is what they say, So like if me and you were in a feud, and you beat me up some, I beat you up some, we back and forth, we got to settle it. So let's bring out the thumbtacks or glass match or whatever, the brick match or set the person on fire match or whatever they're going to do, I'm just a firm believer that you build up to it. Now, I'm probably the minority of that. There's so many people that follow the hard, and I'll take Masada. Masada is a phenomenal wrestler. I mean, Masada is technically probably one of the best skilled wrestlers out there, but he's known for being the hardcore guy that he is, and he's very good at it. So, so there's a place for it. It's just not. I mean, I don't think I'm ever gonna get body slammed on a bunch of Legos.
Yeah.
Now I've stepped on my kids' Legos before. I know how bad that crap hurts, man. My grandkids, Legos all over the floor, and they come visit, and I'm 3:00 in the morning gonna get me a glass of buttermilk, and I hit them Legos, boy, man, they'll bring you to your knees. I'm thinking, God, how's somebody gonna get slammed on those deals?
I refuse for my kids to have them. I refuse for my kids to have them.
That's a great parenting moment.
I'm talking about that. I know my mom. She was like, "Well, I want to buy them Legos." I'm like, "Okay, you keep them at your house."
Yeah, you step on them. Mm-hmm.
Yep, you step on them. I know about Rodney. He does a lot for this business, for Dogg Pound and TSW. Any advice you would give to anybody who has never met Rodney Mack?
Well, I guess if you want to be number one, if you wanted to become a professional wrestler, you say, hey, I would like to try it. I would get a hold of the Dogg Pound Dojo. I would find Rodney Mack. They're there at the dojo every Monday and Wednesday night there on Bandera Road, and talk to them. Tell them what you want to do. You know, approach them about it, because number one, you're not going to get any better training, any better opportunity anywhere. I know there's a young lady, I've got to go do an appearance night at a cheerleading camp. There's a bunch of little girls that come to the shows all the time, and they're getting ready to go to Florida for a big church, and I'm going to go speak to them tonight, like 7 o'clock. And then, but their trainer, she's going to start training, you know, with Jazz in June or July. I think once she gets through with her cheerleading camp, because she wants to go all into it, and she's got skills. I mean, you know, she's very athletic, and so she's. But approach them. You know, they're approachable people. They care about people. They care about they live with passion, right? Life is passion. They love life. They love people. They love wrestling, and they love sharing it. And so anybody. So if you see them at a show, come up, say hi to them, shake their hand. If you're interested in becoming a professional wrestler, man, come get a hold of us. Get a hold of anybody through the Facebook page associated with Dogg Pound. Make an appointment. Come talk to them. You know, see if it's something you really want to do. You know, and I would highly recommend it, because it's a lot of fun. I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah, even though I'm not there personally, physically at training, I'm always there, and it's always fun to see everybody. Seeing Rodney Mack, all the newcomers that are coming up, the women, Nasty Nate, and speaking of the next person I'm gonna bring up, Stewie the Clown. I know before the whole match with Stewie the Clown is when you guys were in the Battle Royal, which was for the pound for pound champion, and he sprayed that green mist on you.
You know, I'll never forget. And it caught me by surprise. I mean, he really hit me with hard. You know, and I kept that shirt. I didn't wash it. I pressed it and cleaned it, and I'm putting it away one day, and I've got a few pictures of Stewie in it and stuff. It's kind of a little thing that I'm making, but more than anything, so when I looked across the aisle at Stewie, and he's just got those black cold eyes, and he's, number one, I'm not a big fan of clowns.
You and Nate.
I'm not, but when I sat there and looked at him across the ring, that's probably, and trust me, man, I grew up in beer joints. I've fought a lot of tough men in my days. You know, that I'd look up to, that, you know, just big, tough, mean men. I've never been intimidated by a dude in my life, but I got to admit, when I looked across the ring at Stewie, man, that was one of the most intense. I could not even, I was froze. I mean, like, I all of a sudden, I forgot how to lock up. I forgot anything that I could do in the ring. I just completely lost it, because I didn't know what to do, you know, and I mean, it's something, that psychological edge of that coming at you, and I think that's why, you know, I think a lot of people feel that way. His character is very interesting, to say the least, and I think that it's going to really, once it starts taking off and getting more notoriety out there, it's really going to take off.
That's kind of what I'm trying to get my character to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
My character. It's a lot. It's a lot of process of putting it together and everything, which I'm still in the process of doing, putting it all together, but. You know, Ace has actually been helping me out with it a lot, with the mask and the gear. And you guys, whoever, you know, if you guys are listening, wrestling people, I've mentioned Ace. You can find him on Facebook. He's a bootmaker.
He's made my second pair of boots. In fact, I got to go down there and pick them up. Hey, I got my new Hoss Holding boots.
Are you debuting those at
Castroville? I am. Awesome. Yeah, they're white boots, and yeah, so it's I'm really excited. They're beautiful. I mean, they're immaculate. So I'm very excited to get those things picked up next week and get them broke in. I'm breaking them in the right guy. But you talk about character, and I'm going to say something that probably more important, well, equally as important as being a good wrestler, is having your character down, whoever you are. Mm-hmm. If you look at if you look at some of the biggest characters in wrestling, John Cena, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, guys like that might not have been the best wrestler. No, I think they're phenomenal wrestlers. I mean, they can get it, but that's always a knock. Oh, they're not that good. But their characters are so big. So if you go to an independent wrestling show and you're a worker that night and you're one of 8 matches, 16 or 17, 18 performers are going to see that night, the fans. How are the fans going to remember your character? I think that's so important because because you think about it, fans are going to be sitting in a seat for 2 hours and a half, 3 hours. They're going to see every type of flip. They're going to see lockups. They're going to see headlocks. They're going to see some of the same over and over again. Your character and how you deliver it, to me, is going to, when they walk away, like me, for instance. So, and they walk, man, that 60-year-old dude, man, it's a character. And, maybe they'll stick. Stewie, that clown Stewie, yeah. You got to do something, whoever you are, even Nate, what's that nasty Nate guy. They might not get it right. They might call him nasty. They said Nate, but you know what? They will remember. And so whatever it is, Rodney Mack, you'll remember the Red Dog, and so your character from your entrance, from the time you walk out that curtain, and you introduce yourself to the fans, you've got to be bigger than life. Your character has to be bigger than life. And you've got to get that across. And you've got to start it the minute you walk out that curtain and that music plays. And if you do that, that's going to get you the popularity. Yes, you've got to back it up with wrestling, no doubt about it. But that character, and you can't just be some old boy because every night they're going to see some guy, they're going to see 8 guys run out of the curtain and go, yeah, come on. They're going to say that 8 times. So you've got to do something unique and special with your character to make them remember. It's one of the biggest things any of us can do on the independent scene right now. And I'm a firm believer in character, music, yourself, and how you approach the ring. That first 2 minutes of how you go to that ring is going to tell a lot about how they're going to think about you as a wrestler.
Yeah.
Now, you can't go in there and suck it up, because if you do, then they're going to say, well, yeah, he was cool, but man, that guy sucked. So you got to have the training to be able to back up the wrestling and be able to work. But your character, man, that's lit. If you can go in there and you be this guy bigger than life, and you can come up there and have a decent match, they're going to remember you. And then when they see you on another flyer from I saw that, yeah, I enjoyed him. They're going to have that they'll be able to relate. They'll be able to know. They'll be able to bond to it and remember. And to me, anybody who's built, to develop their character, that's one of the biggest things and you got to spend a lot of time on it. I know Rodney, promos, because that's your character,
He's so adamant about promos.
Because it's your character, and he understands, he gets it, Your character is your promo, so it's what you do. So, to be better, so that way, it is not just for here, it's for us being able to tell who we are, and to get people to invest in us and invest in who we are. So not necessarily monetarily, but just invest their emotion into our character, and that's what we're trying to get.
Yeah, because I know when Rodney, he's like I said, he's very, very adamant about promos, and he gets upset when no one does their promos. And it's just like,
and I'm due this week too, so I know. I'm sorry, Coach, I'm working on it. But on DJ, I'm here to do a podcast.
I've talked to Coach Rodney about a promo that I'm still in the works of getting together. But he's also told me, just when you get it together, just send it to me and I'll let you know.
He will. He's honest about it. He told me mine. The one big one I was going to do with the catfish, it turned out being crap, and he was right. But it was what it was. I got the truth, and I like the truth.
Speaking of catfish, I hear you're a big fan of fishing, huh?
I'm ready to go fishing, man. I was and I am. I love bass fishing. I'm a competitor, and I love tournament fish, and I tournament fish for a long time. And I've put it aside when I'm trying. I got a beautiful bass boat. I've got $5,000 worth of electronics to go on that. I mean, I could see a fish pooping off a limb in 30 foot of water, 8 foot on the right, So, I mean, I've got all that stuff, and I feel like I'm a decent competitor in bass fishing. But I can't do it full board right now. Yeah. I was actually going to fish a tournament the 23rd and 24th, but I'm gonna go to some shows and visit. I'm gonna stay with wrestling. So, but there will be a time again in my life, I promise you, when I pick up the bass fishing again at a tournament. Now I'm gonna do some fun fishing. I am gonna slow down and do that, but I'm not through tournament fishing yet. I've got some goals, and I'm a goal-oriented person. There's a few tournament circuits that I want to win, and there will be a time for that. It's just not right now.
You big on hunting too?
I've never been a hunter. We would go to the deer camp when I was a kid. Everybody go to the deer, and I would climb out of the deer stand and go find a pole and pond and fish in the pond on the deer place. And I just went fishing.
So just plain old fishing.
I'm just a fisherman.
Nothing wrong with fishing. I mean, I've been fishing when I was maybe younger. When I was younger, and my mom's boyfriend took me up to Canyon Lake to go fishing. But to me, I'm not comfortable with grabbing the fish barehanded.
Oh man, come on, you gotta be tough, man.
It's not that. It's slimy. The scales. It's just like,
oh no.
Oh, I'm not used to this yet. Because I was born in California, so before my mom met him, I've never been fishing.
Right.
And I never knew what it was like to be a fisher and what it was like to be fishing and actually seeing how people go fishing and hunting. And actually, when we moved out here, is actually when I started kind of getting interested in fishing, hunting, wanting to go to the range. So now that my wife, my father-in-law, he actually just built me an AR-15.
Okay.
So I'm real excited to go shoot that, but it's got to be clean. So he's coming down sometime this weekend to show me how to take it apart and clean it and everything, because it's a new gun to me, and I don't know pretty much how to take it apart yet. But I have also got a 9mm Springfield pistol that I have that I can just take apart, clean it, and go to the range with.
Yeah, I've just got one pistol, it's a snub nose 38 that we use for family protection, and like I say, I've just never been a big gun guy, never been a big hunter guy. It's just, and I appreciate it. I don't have nothing wrong with it. I love eating deer meat. I like eating pig. I like wild game. I love quail and dove and all that stuff. I just never been a hunter. I just didn't want to put the effort into it and do the sport respect as it should be. So I just stuck with fishing, and. We've got the stock pond on the place now. I caught a big old catfish out of there here a while back, about 30, 35-pound catfish. And I made my granddaughters hold it. That way they won't have that fear.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to take a while. Cause,
it does. I get it.
It takes a while because I haven't been fishing since Canyon Lake when I was little. So
I fished a lot of bass tournaments on Canyon Lake. Won a lot of money on that lake fishing. I like it. It's a good bass. It's a good lake if you want to go white bass fishing and striper fishing, and it's a little more difficult for catching the black bass. They're not as prolific in that lake for lack of cover, but it's a fun lake to fish. And like I say, I've won a few tournaments on that lake.
Yeah, hopefully here pretty soon, before we go out to California in June, we can start going fishing again, because I kind of want to start getting back into it.
Hey, fishing is big, man. And if you need any tips or places to go, let me know.
I'm sure will. Alrighty, Don, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast
today. Man, I enjoyed this, man. We just sit here and shot the breeze, man. I hope folks enjoyed as much as we indulged a lot. And man, it's an honor for me, and I want you to have success with this podcast, and we'll get it out there. And if I can help you anyway, man, I appreciate you so much for having me.
I'll let you know anytime. I hope you got everything off your chest that you needed to get off.
There's a lot on my chest, but I'm not quite ready. There's a lot more I could have dug into, but you know what? Let's save it for another time.
Yeah, we can save it for another time.
Yeah, we can save it for another. I'm in a pretty good mood today, so I'm gonna be nice.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was Don Holding, the pound for pound champion that I brought on today. So hopefully here in the near future, we have him on the show again, and hopefully I have pretty more of the upcoming wrestlers from Dogg Pound on the show as well. Thank y'all and have a good afternoon. And Don, it's a pleasure.
The honor's mine, sir.